Hey shooters, welcome back to the Shooters Resource Channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Staccato C2 Duo and comparing it against one of the more popular pistols in the US, the Glock 19. This is the Glock 19M, so it's a Gen 5 variant, but it was made for the FBI. And it's a great gun all around. This gun might cost you about $650, and it gets the job done in terms of self-defense, and even a lot of competitive shooters run Glocks. So why would someone pay the cost differential to get the C2 from Staccato, which is a very expensive 2011 variant? This is a great pistol as well, and I'm going to tell you, it's a top performer. There's no doubt about it. It's very accurate. You can run this gun very fast. So do you see or will you see an increased performance for the Staccato over the Glock 19? I'm going to tell you in the testing, I absolutely did. But we'll also talk about some of the features today on why you might want the Staccato over a Glock or some other kind of run-of-the-mill striker fire pistol. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and take a second. Hit that like and subscribe button. Support the channel. All right, when we're comparing these two pistols, let's look at the platforms as a whole. The Staccato is single action only. The operating system mimics that of a 1911, but the 2011 has a double capacity because it has a double stack magazine, whereas the Glock is a striker fire design, and it has an internal striker assembly that engages the primer. Most of your striker fire guns are very simple. They typically don't have safeties, although most models have an optional safety. But for me, I prefer my striker fire guns not to have a safety. The trigger pull really does require a deliberate intent to pull the trigger, whereas with the single action only guns, they require the hammer to be cocked fully to the rear for the gun to fire. And the trigger pulls on them are much shorter. And this Staccato trigger, I'm going to tell you, is an amazing trigger. You'll see when it comes to accuracy, I found it much easier to shoot accurately with that single action only trigger. And like I said, it's essentially the same operating system as the 1911 designed by John Moses Browning more than 100 years ago. So this is my Dan Wesson that you guys have seen on the channel before. I've got some new lock grips on there that are really nice. Looking at the overall gun here, I want to touch on, and I've already touched on the triggers. That 1911 trigger on the Staccato is coming in right at about 4 pounds. It's very, very crisp. Very short reset. This gun can be ran extremely fast. On the day that I was running these two against each other, I didn't run the Staccato as fast as what I normally run the Staccato. And I think it's because I was bouncing back and forth between the two guns, and you know, I was getting more used to that longer reset on the Glock. But the Glock trigger, especially the Gen 5s, and this is the Glock 19M, which has a Gen 5 operating system, the Glock triggers on the Gen 5s are pretty good. I don't plan on touching this at all. This is one of my primary carry guns. You can see the holster wear there from getting plenty of carry with it. But I think the trigger is pretty good on this Glock as is, so I'm not going to touch it. But I will say the Staccato has a far superior trigger, and you find that a lot on most of your 1911s. Their triggers tend to be the best triggers in the industry. All right, shooters, these are the two groups. On the left is the Staccato, and the right is the Glock. Both guns were really easy to run fast. Both triggers have their pros and cons, but the Staccato is definitely easier to hold on target and shoot a little faster. And some might say, well, you've got a red dot on the Staccato and that's what's making the difference. For me, at 10 yards, the red dot doesn't play a big difference. And I think you can see that for the most part if you look at the two groups. The Glock group was pretty good, though I pulled a few shots. Now again, I haven't been shooting Glock that often. If I was practicing with it on a regular basis, I believe that I would have less shots pulled. However, I haven't been shooting the Staccato or other 1911s on a regular basis, so it's probably the same thing there. If I were shooting it more often, I'd be more accurate. So you can say that for either gun. But all in all, looking at the two groups, I'm very pleased. That's at 10 yards, and that's the build drill 5x5. Next up, let's look at the fit and finish of the two guns. That's another area where the Staccato shines. This gun is made and handcrafted just amazingly well. You can see the fitment there on the barrel, that bull barrel. See how it tapers to the end so that the slide just locks up with that barrel just perfectly. And that's important because it guarantees that the barrel is indexing with the slide consistently every time. And what's important about that is because your sighting systems are on your slide. So you want the end of your barrel and your barrel to index with the slide as consistently as possible. That's going to drive mechanical accuracy in the firearm platform. Whereas the Glock is a lot looser fitting, that does add to its reliability. However, between the two guns in terms of reliability, I've had no failures from either of the guns. Both guns have ran really well, and I've got over 1,000 rounds through both of them. I've got tens of thousands of rounds through the Glock platform. But I've got thousands of rounds through the 1911 platform. And any of the higher end 1911s that are well made, I never have a problem with reliability. But they do tend to be a little more finicky, just the 1911 platform in general compared to the Glock. But the Staccato has been 100% reliable. And I carry this gun, so which is why I have a flashlight on both of them, because they're my carry guns. All right, next up, I'm gonna go back to about 20-25 yards, and I'm gonna shoot at the head box. I'm gonna leverage the right target for the Staccato and the left target for the Glock. Let's see which ones I can shoot the best 10-shot group offhand with. All right, let's go see how I did with each. So there you go, folks. I think that describes it pretty well. That's my group with the Staccato. You can see that I've got them bunched up pretty tight. I have two that maybe I pulled a little. And you can see I'm not really leveraging a sticker or any point of reference. I was finding the middle of the head and adjusting. With the Glock, it looks like I got the majority of my headshots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I dropped 2 more. So, you know, they weren't too far out, but it does show you that there is a little bit of a difference in terms of accuracy when you're looking at a 2011 or 1911 style pistol that's been handcrafted and is really made very well versus the Glock, which is, you know, a combat weapon, but it's still a great performer. And honestly, I can shoot a lot better than this with the Glock in most instances. But I think this grip with the Staccato definitely speaks for itself. All right, next up, let's talk ergonomics. Both guns are very ergonomical. You know, the Glock gets a bad rep for being kind of blocky, but it really does feel good in your hand. I do like on the Gen 5s how they've given it somewhat of a flared magwell. That, with my hand size, it actually helps my hand, you know, apply more pressure upward on the gun. But, you know, the Glock as a whole, ergonomically, it shoots very fast. It fits very well in my hand, and I'm able to mitigate recoil very well with the Glock system. The Staccato is the same. I mean, it fits, in my opinion, even better in my hand. It feels better. It's a little bit wider grip, so the grip width here is just slightly wider. And I feel that having that larger backstrap in width, the more surface area hand contact that I can make on there, the better I can mitigate recoil. And so when I shoot these two guns, and it didn't come out as much like in the video, but when I shoot these two guns, I do find I run the Staccato a little bit faster. And that's because of the trigger and, again, just kind of the ergonomics of the 1911. The grip angle, the Glock grip angle is fine too. I like both, but I find shooting faster and staying on target is easier for me with the Staccato. It also has a flared magwell, so it is beveled there, which allows getting mags in very easy. And both guns have aftermarket magwells you could put on them if you want, but since I carry them, I choose to leave them as is. The other ergonomic things are controls on the Staccato. Let's look at the slide lock. So the slide lock on the Staccato is very nice. It's very wide, easy to get to. It's got serrations on it so that it's very easy to contact. However, it's not ambidextrous, and I'm not sure if you can get an ambidextrous one just due to the frame design here. But either way, it's just really good, really easy to get to. So I do like that. The safety is ambidextrous, and it's very wide. And you know, with the slide lock, you can always go over the top and rack it if you're shooting left-handed. But the safety is very wide, easy to get to, easy to allow your thumb to ride. And also the grip safety. I've never had a problem with drawing and then this grip safety not engaging so that the trigger locks up. On some 1911s, sometimes that grip safety can get in the way, and it doesn't, you don't depress it enough with your hand if you're not gripping it perfectly for the trigger to go off. But the Staccato doesn't have that problem. You know, every time when I draw it, my hand, no matter however I grip the pistol, one-handed, left-handed, I've never had a problem with that grip safety. And then one other point is the serrations. The serrations on the Staccato are definitely way better than the Glock. It does have front and rear serrations, but just the design, it just is a sure grip even when the gun's wet or if you've been sweating. It's no problem getting to the grip. And the slide is fairly tall, just like a 1911. But I just really like those grip serrations on there. The Glock grip serrations work all right. They could be a little deeper or a little more aggressive, but I've never had really a problem with Glock grip serrations. Like I said, controls, the mag release, everything's easy to get to. I do like on the Gen 5s how you have an ambidextrous slide release. It's very easy to get to as well. But the Glock's just pretty basic, and you can do a million upgrades to your Glock and change out all the components and make it however you want. I do choose to leave this one stock because I carry it a lot, and I've had a lot of experience with aftermarket parts that were high-end parts, and they end up failing. But when you look at aftermarket as a whole, the Glock definitely has more affordable and more available aftermarket support, holsters, everything. Now the 2011 series has some aftermarket support as well. I do find extra mags and holsters are either harder to find and also more expensive. So just something to keep in mind there. All right, next up I'm going to run a build drill. I'm going to do, let's run 3 build drills and average the totals and see which gun I can run faster, 6 shots from concealment, and I'm going to be doing it at 7 yards. 2.86. That felt really good. Let's see how I did. All right, now that's what you would expect out of a nice, well-made 2011. See, all 6 shots in a nice tight group, under 3 seconds at 7 yards. That's drawing from concealment. .34. So there we go. We've got them all 6 in the 0 zone. Nice. Let's look at that grouping with the Glock. So it looks like I actually aimed high on a lot of that. So I got a couple of hits that ended up higher than the target. But other than that, that was pretty quick. All right, so in summary, I would say that, the Glock is definitely a great value for those of you that are just getting into guns, or, you can never have too many Glocks, right? So I really like Glocks. I've shot a lot of them over the years. They're inexpensive. They perform. They shoot very fast just due to the trigger design and grip angle. It doesn't have the best trigger in the world. It doesn't have the best anything in the world, and some people might agree with that, but it's a great value. There's no doubt about it. So, depending on what you're after, the Glock probably fits that need. A lot of people run these in competition. The Glock 19 is by far one of the most popular, if not the most sold pistol in the last decade, last couple decades maybe. But, the 1911 and 2011, they're great guns. So the 2011 brings that double stack capacity to the 1911 platform. And the Staccato didn't skimp out on any quality. This thing is just an amazing gun. I've never been disappointed in it when I've went out and shot it. It always exceeds my expectations. The accuracy is superior to the Glock, and that's even with iron sights. I did shoot this gun with iron sights prior to putting an optic on it. And the speed that is achievable is much better. And if you put those two together, the ability to shoot accurately faster is much easier on the Staccato. I've had Glocks, for a long time. I've shot a lot of competition with Glock 34, with Glock 17s, with various Glocks. I've carried them, and they've always held up their end of the bargain, right? They've always been reliable. They've always been accurate enough for anything that I've needed it to do. But the Staccato outperforms it. There's no doubt about it. I've been very pleased. I've been very impressed. Now, how much? You're not going to buy a Staccato and just turn into some kind of professional shooter all overnight or anything like that. This gun takes practice just like this one. I would say the amount of added performance is about 10% or so for the Staccato over the Glock, just in terms of being able to, go out and run courses and make my hits. I might get 10% added performance. So it does come at a very high price point, and that's what you find as you move up in more expensive pistols. But you also get the craftsmanship of the 2011. This is just a well-fitted, well-designed gun. This is a gun that I can pass down to my grandchildren. I mean, the Glock will probably be around to pass down to my grandchildren as well. But, the quality is just much higher. And, the aesthetics of the gun. The Staccato is just a beautiful gun. So, there's that too. The Staccato is a great high-performing pistol. It's got a bull barrel. It's double stack. It's got a super sweet trigger. that's not so light that you couldn't carry it. So it could be used for duty use, which is what it's designed for. Polymer lower, so it's lightweight. And their DPO or Duo setup, the Dawson Universal Optic System, is great. It allows you to put a lot of different optics on the pistol, and they give you everything you need to mount those popular optics. It comes with a great set of sights. I mean, it's just a great gun all the way around. You're going to put them in the same hole with this one. So if you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead, take a second, hit that like and subscribe button, support the channel, and as always, thank you all and God bless.